They have so many names for this hero. How she weaves in and out of reality as a winged skeleton that's out to save those in distress, as well as bringing them back to life. Doing it just to make sure people live their 100 years of living. You can catch her teaching surgery techniques, doctorate techniques, how to nurture. You can also catch her fighting mobs of infidels while keeping the space colony alive. Wham, wham, bam, in the body slam. We'll have you saying thank you, ma'am, at 3 a.m. in the morning if you're on the wrong side of the justice system. Now give it up for Dylizzle, the prettiest hero in diamonds. Hey, it's Terrence Prescott again. This is another characterization sheet. This is one of the first characters in Chapter 1. Dylizzle is a doctor. She is an adventuring archaeologist and aerologist. She's a general surgeon for the Coconut Institute of Higher Living, Higher Learning, if I can read right. And let's get into it. So, Diamandis Cabrera. This character was made of her origin. All came to me because of Susu and Hanan from BGC, the Twisted Sister season. And I followed them on social media, and one of them had a photo shoot, and I saw Diamond Cobb in the photo shoot, and I was like, wow, she's very beautiful, first of all. Secondly, incredibly inspirational, just the energy of it all. And I just followed her, and eventually I used her beautifulness as the direction of Dylizzle, and Dylizzle is her name on Instagram. I know a lot of Instagram models get flack for trying to do what they do and survive and keep a roof over their head, but fuck everybody that got something bad to say about Instagram models. But that's how Dylizzle came when I was making up the secondary character roster and the tertiary character roster. She was one of the characters that manifested, and I eventually made her the best friend of the worst and brought Scarls in it as well, making them like this superhero trio, and all of them are doctors, and they all teach at the Coconut Institute of Higher Learning, if I could talk right. So that was all developed, and then I was finally able to work on her characterization sheet. And as you can see, her birth date is January the 1st. Astrological sign Capricorn. O negative. Heterosexual. Good orderly direction. And her secret is she loves to dance in the middle of the woods during the darkest of nights. No moon coverage whatsoever. And since this is one of the very peculiar things about story number 29 in this universe, the super beingness, the magic of it all, the power of it all. When humans started going across the universe and they were manning galaxies, manning planets, creating space colonies, space stations, going into the great beyond, making sure humans can survive throughout other sectors of the universe and whatnot. When they found human sustainable planets, some of them didn't have moons, so they would make moons, and that would involve a great amount of energy to make that happen, of course, because every object in outer space is a celestial being, and they had to do what they had to do to make sure that each planet had a moon, and it was acting like the original moon on planet Earth, so that the oceans would move in a certain way, and they just have that whole catalyst of power and the image of a moon in the sky. And I just wanted to bring that up real quick, because in her secret, she wait for the darkest of nights, which is nights with no moon coverage and whatnot. So it's just something that she likes to do because the Coconut Institute has a forest around the campus and whatnot, and then she just goes out there and dances in the middle of the night. It's an ambience thing for her because she works such a busy, demanding job being the aerologist and general surgeon that she is, so she can, teach people how to take care of the ether system and be healthy super beings and things like that. Very prestigious, very highly acclaimed on the faculty, and even more highly acclaimed on the battlefield. And it all started when she developed her voice as a child and stood up to bullies and things like that, and I'll get into that later. But to continue with the characterization sheet, she has dark blue hair, lengthens down to her stomach, usually wears them in loose curls with baby waves when she's not in costume as Dylizzle, and when she's Dylizzle, she'll have the high frizzed ponytails in. She also wears a mask because she's such a, if I could talk right, she's such a highly acclaimed doctor that everybody knows her in Solar System 5, and everybody knows her throughout the galaxies because she's one of the more famous heroes because of how much work she has put in and how powerful she is, and that'll be explained later in her abilities things. And then you have she has blue with azure rims for eyes, thin model type. Usually I make female characters busty model types, but if you go to her Instagram, you'll see that she is thin, so I have to keep it a stack with the character. Chocolate skin, C, breast measurements, and physical condition. She's fit like an assassin and gymnast, equally built in strength and speed. She has no significant marks or scars, and she doesn't have any tattoos. Now, while living the life of a surgeon who also teaches, her attire is very much Naomi of private practice, and Naomi was wildly, amazingly beautiful. And then the onset mayhem was never an issue for her though. Also, that's the only time she wears her hair down. When she's not at work, she still dresses like the biker Moxie chick from her junior high school days, more so with her adult personality on her jewelry side of the game. But she will rock her ponytails when not tending to the office side of her work. Her favorite colors to wear are blues, from a very blue costume to her hella blue lab coat to her... Fix that right now. To her blue leather jacket, she'll be in blue. Her favorite article of clothing is a leather jacket she got when she was 15. It was magic wear, and magic wear is the kind that grows with a person. Received it from her father as a birthday gift. The party was basically over after that. She spent the previous month with her bros, Scarros and the worst, tending to the Thunderous group, which is the group that we're connected to, anywhere but home. But there she was, with that blue leather jacket she won't ever get tired of. Let me stay in order though. When she was unwrapping the incredulously blue wrap box that held the prize of a gift, she was just unwrapping them like she won't get any unfathomable item on her wish list. When that box paper came up and she saw the Shao Kahn type shoulder spikes, she threw the box paper back down. Whole complexion changed. Whole life changed. Dylizzle slowly took the box. Dylizzle slowly took the box paper back, and with a very agonizing look on her face, she held it up, then started to cry because her life was complete. She never came out of her room for the rest of that day because she was getting acquainted with her magic blue leather jacket. She put all of the letters in Moxie from then on, and even became the junior and senior class president. All kinds of accolades of a necessary proportion as she kept the magic blue leather jacket alive, from heroism to schoolwork, to college prep, to heroism, to schoolwork, to acting up. Somehow she lived through a heaven of a teenhood with a magic blue leather jacket that looks like it's brand new all the time. Magic wear is, I'm pretty sure somebody else has already coined it or something, but I know that when I was playing Mabinagi back in the day, they have so many things in it. Again, the game has so many options for so many things. And one of my favorite things was the enchanting thing, where you can even enchant clothes and make your character hella powerful. So Rodova had this suit of armor with gauntlets, with boots, with a helmet, and what was the other thing? It was something else with the outfit. But all four of those pieces had this healer enchant. And if you had healing pass rank 5, it would give you a certain amount of HP. So the reason why my character had 800 HP was because all of my clothes had the healer enchant on it, and I was focusing on skills that had HP uplift. So in the sense of magic wear, the enchanting thing, magic wear is usually enchanted to never wear out, so it always looks brand new. And she still has that magic blue leather jacket, still rocks it, not on the battlefield like she used to as a teenager with the Thunder Rose group, but more so it's her token of appreciation to her father for getting her that very expensive gift as a 15-year-old, and she was never at home, cause that'll be explained later. But moving down to her personality, likes the worst, Scarros, the Thunder Rose group, Purge, people in general, doctor stuff, higher education, writing reports, taking extra care of her patients, outer space, people who never touch down on a planet, superpowers, and college students. And sometimes there are people who have never visited a planet because the universe is so big, and there are a lot of space colonies with artificial ozone layers in them. So they have terrain, they took soil, they took rock, they took other kind of matter from planets that weren't sustainable for human life, put them on space colonies, changed around elements, did all of this scientific stuff to make space colonies have that Metroid Other M feel of a whole space colony that's its own planet. So they don't really have to leave a space colony to go to a planet. And yes, natural gravity is different from space colony gravity. You got me there. But dislikes are villainy, people who give up, blips of humanity. I should have never made it. Forgetting someone's superpower, which is very rare for her. Getting someone's name wrong, very rare for her too. Lack of a signal, and mental traumas. Her fears are dying before she turns 60 years of age, which is, you're gonna, later on in the characterization sheet, you're gonna be like, bitch can't die? She overpowered his foot. Boy, when I was, when I was explaining to her, like when I was first doing it, cause, of course, I started working on Crunch's characterization sheet first, but then after that, it was Dylizzle, the worst, and Scarros, and then it was Teodra Morris, and Teodra Morris happened to be done first, but when I was explaining Dylizzle, Ricardo was like, she is overpowered, she cannot be killed, what are you doing? And I'm like, man. And I'll get down to the end of it and tell you some other things, because I left out something on the characterization sheets for decades, and I feel very stupid for doing it. But losing her parents before they turned 100 years old and having to attend funerals of heroes way before their time. And sometimes there are cases where people cannot be resurrected, and in most cases it's lost in space when somebody's body is taken by a black hole, or it's some kind of really messed up celestial outer space event, like a magical storm or a solar storm, and they cannot be resurrected after that because it's the the universe is doing something, and whatever happens when that universe is doing something, it'll claim everything in that area, and regardless of having life as a superpower or having it as a category in spellbinding, the universe will not give that person back. So lost in space is really lost in space, and you can't return whatsoever. Hobbies are power training, healthy aero surgeries. EROWO is the suffix in doctor terms for the study of superpowers. Teaching doctors to be ways of I wonder how that happened. But teaching doctors better ways of remembering everyone's superpowers. Alright, that's fixed. Spending time with the worst in Scarrows. Diamond martial arts, which is training in martial arts in her diamond form and using diamond energy in perspective of how Emma Frost, Magma, Storm, Jean Grey, anybody else with those type of superpower edition martial arts fighting styles on X-Men Legends, when you unlock the skill and whatnot. Keeping it beautiful and stunning on social media. Her goals to live a life that is revered as the life of a true intergalactic hero, and she is already there. All right, she's been there, and 35 years of living so far, and she has been over all of the galaxies already. Her occupation, stated that before, and her heroism is tied to the Thunder Rose group, galactic class hero. Her favorite foods are coconuts, raspberry, steak, duck, rabbit, dragon, and veggies. And moving down to the most prized possession. So, in one of the many distant and peaceful towns of Leo Yellow, which is one of the dimensions, Dylizzle was there with her usual folks when she was 31. They were just traveling as doctors beyond borders, doing some freelance doctor work in towns they could use a little checkup. The town of Yusora, it was a farmland, rich with all kinds of animals and vegetation from all dimensions. It is one of the main places that form for the entirety of mankind of Galaxy 5, yet regardless of their clever business, the people are really farmers, intelligent and rugged with joyously peaceful lives that tickle the lives of Dylizzle, Scarrows, and the worst. There was one little girl who reminded Dylizzle what she once looked like, but she was blind. It was a perfect day to cure her. Dylizzle hit her with her pH rebalance powers, then pulled out her diamond magnifying glasses that began to operate on her eyes while keeping her awake, while in an enhanced mode. Backed by her intelligent years of power training, she can heal a large amount of area while keeping it numb during conscious operation, where she creates a portal into deep life powers that ruins pain but keeps the host operating normally. Putting the nerve endings on a millisecond loop keeps all of that in check. Dylizzle had to do the same work on both eyes, and they were oddly very symmetrical. In the end, the little girl was cured of the disease she was born with. When black turned into color for the first time, she put Dylizzle's warming voice with her beautiful face and cried. Her parents came in immediately when she started crying. The little girl gave Dylizzle her doll, said she should keep her because now she can play with all of the other kids. The doll is named Little Susie, a black doll that's still sitting pretty in a very beautiful box. The little girl always brought her in her backpack everywhere, all because she had famous quotes of a lot of the current day heroes. The first one she pressed was of her, Scarrows, and the words saying, "We'll help you live a little so you can live a lot." She never pressed it again. Only other people press her. She's sitting in Dylizzle's prize room of a spaceship, on a mantle in a crystal box with a white spotlight shining down on her. She always cherishes that as a means of keep on giving children their childhood back. After Dylizzle realized what the doll said, she simply said, "Nah." In a very regretfully hilarious facial expression that quickly turned into gratitude, she had forgotten about that slogan for a few weeks leading up to that moment. She was tore up inside, but still happy the little girl could see. Vernacular, mad, cool, peaceful, and savvy Southern accent. Aptitude is IQ equals 200. Equally book smart and street smart. Mental capacity is best serving doing her occupation. The superhero-ness of it all is a very great addition because she can use her healing powers precisely to give exact healing with additional benefits of that feel great magic. So, with her being highly intelligent and having imagination as a superpower, her thoughts with using the ether of reality is very precise because she has the doctorate knowledge and she knows about human anatomy and getting labs and doing all of this stuff, and she knows how to perfectly heal people. And like I said earlier about the pH rebalance thing, which is something a lot of life wielders use, and they use it on their friends and people like that every time they see them, and it's just a natural reaction because they just want everybody to feel good, which is hand in hand with life as a superpower, because all of my life wielders, they focus on the pleasure of their superpower. Like all super beings, when they use their superpower, the ether system gives them this dopamine boost, and it's a different chemical than dopamine, but it's still a pleasurable chemical that it gives to the body when it's used, and it's trying to keep the vessel using the superpowers. And that's why some of the characters are so powerful, because they don't get tired of the pleasure, and it's less sometimes, more other times and whatnot, depending on the person's anatomy. But life as a superpower is about all pleasure, because all you're doing is healing people of their ailments and things like that, whether it be the mind, organs, a specific memory, scars, through and through, puncturing the entire body, impaling the entire body, all kinds of damage, from radiation to electrical to other elemental kind of damage, and they just want to go around curing people. So when she chose that as a category in imagination and kept focusing on it, it just got more potent. And because she went into the direction of being a doctor, she has the know-how of going right behind of using a scalpel and healing somebody. So she'll go into people, do what she got to do to correct, to teach doctorate stuff to non-super beings. So because there are societies that super beings don't touch an entire town, and those people live like normal human beings, like in this world, so they have to have the knowledge and whatnot, and she's one of the people that teaches the knowledge and things like that. So when she's teaching class, she's doing a whole surgery thing and telling them about the process of recovering normally versus using superpowers and things like this. So it's a whole experience being in her classroom and all of that other stuff. But her mental capacity is best saved and most reliable when it comes to doctorate kind of stuff. The character behavior, she is ridiculous, adventurous, altruistic, intelligent, strategic, and beautiful. Her relationships, the worst in Scarrows, are her best friends. Even though she primarily grew up in Solar System 5, she would still spend time with them in Solar System 4 over various summer camps and young doctorate camps. Dylizzle was always into the worst in Scarrows' budding relationship before they even knew what was going on. While they were figuring out that they were in love, she already knew and acted like a mediator between the two when they were younger. After they figured out how to define their feelings, it was all gravy. Dylizzle thinks the world of them in a very intensely way, and eventually talked the both of them into being superheroes with her. Her social and other pressure problems. Do not get into an argument with her. Keep it debatable, but do not try to toward her politeness, cause she will cuss a nigga out. Cause she's a respectful person. All the time, she has a good sense of humor. She likes to joke with people. She likes everybody. Will put a villain in their place very quickly, and will put rude people in their place very quickly. Beliefs and morals. Her father used to tell her when she was rather small, you have the power to decide who you want to be, so be it. And that helped her fight against bullies and whatnot. Positive characteristics: polite, witty, strategic, welcoming, protective, altruistic, keeping it cool, keeping it crazy, keeping it sexy. Negative, she be having her rebuttals on deck though. So she has to stay ready, because Scarros is a psychic, and he is always in people's mind, helping them finish their sentences and stuff like that. And in order to keep up with him and his mean ass mouth, she always got to be prepared for them hits, cause Scarros will be on a battlefield and he would be saying some entirely mean shit, and you know he's telling the kids to get out of there, but he's telling them in a way that it's making them not run in the direction they need to run, but being confused and looking at him and trying to move in a direction and looking at him and moving in a direction and worrying about him damaging them, because he's so mean when he talks, because it's just the way he is. And it's like he is tall, dark skinned, brutish, plays no games, and Dylizzle still love him, but anybody else she's trying to make sure people are alright after they talk to him. And there's a lot of times where he will say some pretty messed up stuff to where it's like that person is going to need a therapy session afterwards. So moving right along, her parents are named Pureta Cabrera and Salazar de Cuero. And in this universe, daughters take their mother's last name and sons take their father's last name. And any situations with trans people, they change their names depending on which sex they get operated into. Excuse me. So Dylizzle's history, and get ready because it's juicy. Dylizzle was lucky, born on planet Carolazan to a wealthy mother and father who lived fabulous lives as A-list celebrity event planners. Dylizzle was never without glamour in her life, ever. Kept it 100 at all times, hypnotizing herself because her parents kept her living like a princess, was activating her powers before the correct age, allowing her to develop glitter and diamond powers quickly. She was gifted with a brain upon the genius sector, but her parents didn't want her to grow up alone and fast. Instead, she was forced to be with people that would never understand her. This provoked bullies to act on their ammunition, but there was a specific episode of a doctor television show she used to watch with her father. Because Dylizzle was raised with so much love and sense of self, she started following the skulls and wings of the three connecting episodes. Of these three connecting episodes. Corrected. Then developing ways of being a skull angel had her in and out of trouble, but her parents proud that she was fighting for herself in elementary. Fought for herself her entire life and learned splendidly from both of her parents, from the lows of being too pretty to the highs of creating a personality that transcends her beauty. The Skull Angel will evolve into Dylizzle to prove that beauty, brawn, and brains can be achieved in any vessel. And then you have the Thunder Rose group information. The Thunder Rose group consisted of, at that time, 7 adults and 3 teenagers. Captain Mello, electricity a superpower. Soriana, weather as a superpower. Black Rex, Black Hole Tyrannosaurus Rex a superpower. Missing Bullets, X as a superpower. O-Red, Fire as a superpower. Skip to My Blade, Sword of the Universe as a superpower. Milo Miller, Pollution as a superpower. And the worst, Scarrows. Oh, what did I do? Okay. And the three teenagers are the worst, Scarrows and Dylizzle. If I hit this shit one more goddamn time. So her history is short and sweet because majority of Dylizzle's trauma comes from being a hero. She's been in plenty of fights. She's got her ass knocked around plenty of times. She's done plenty of knocking around herself, and the whole atmosphere of warriorhood is you always have to find ways of being powerful because everybody's hand game is up to date. And if it's not up to date, you're getting your teeth knocked down your throat, you're getting an eye blade, you're getting some broken bones, your ribs gonna be poking out, you're gonna be out there coughing and trying to activate your healing factor as much as possible. And that's why a lot of the characters have so many fighting techniques under their belt, so many other techniques with using their powers, and they go around trying to find other kind of things to enchant their vessel to be more powerful, like in T.O.J. Morris's characterization sheet, how he got those ceremonial markings so he can't be sucked into vortexes. It's a lot of things flowing around like that, and it's infinite, and the people that give out the power, they are very friendly. If you give them something of a glint of inspiration and they just happen to like that one thing you did, they will ask you, would you want some more power? And there's a lot of people around like that, and Dylizzle is at the power range where she can bless people with other kind of things like that, because her diamond superpowers, even though imagination is basically thinking of something and making it happen, is still a whole pressurized diamond, completely poured out of all of the energy of the universe, brought to everybody right there in front of her. It's a real ass diamond, and she can make them as big or as small as possible. She'll tell girls, like when they out partying and everything, and they in the bathroom, and the girls talking, and they be like, "Oh, it's Dylizzle, girl. Thank you, because you saved the world 3 months ago, and whatever happened that day, I didn't die. So thank you for doing it." And everybody come up with the excuses for saying thank you and things like that. And then there are some people that are real cool and they don't even thank her. They just be like, "Oh, it's interesting seeing you here. So I like the way you was dancing." And they'll be talking all kind of shit, and she'll be like, "Girl, you know what? Take this bag of diamonds, treat yourself, pawn it, take it to a jeweler, go on a trip. Actually, I got somewhere where you can go. I want you to go talk to this person, that person, and the third, and they will get a regular non-super being access to Edgemere, to Dareland, and Dareland is the ultimate amusement park in this whole universe." And it's a lot of heroes that'll do that, because it's not like other stories where people's alter egos will have them under a magnifying glass and everybody is trying to get a piece of them and things like that. For the most part, when I was explaining how the world is and how everybody has all these opportunities, and mostly all of the adults live their lives until they're 40, and that's when they start having children, it's like that. Everybody is cool because everybody has something going on, and everybody has access to education, money, nutrients, and living. And everybody is trying to go in the direction that they want to go in. And sometimes some people are cooler than others, and they'll talk to somebody like Crunch, and Crunch will take them across the universe just because they was cool and they was having a conversation, and he don't want them to pay money to get on a spaceship and fly to a sector or something, and he'll just take them in because his spaceship is faster than everybody else's. He literally be giving people free rides all the time. But getting back to the characterization sheet, Dylizzle has a couple of homes, and one of them is her spaceship, the Outer Angel. It's a giant battleship type spaceship where she is the captain, and she has a crew of 50 people that keep it up when she's not in the superhero business. Because she teaches general surgery and aerology and stuff like that. And college has those semesters and schedules and things. This ship looks like wings is shells of plate armor across the entire ship. That's flat on the bottom and hemisphere on the top. The windows are cerulean and always glow intensely because of the LED technology of it all. Her ship is usually the favorite one of the trio to be used as a refuge when rescuing people in outer space. Its overall capacity is too big for repeated planetary landing and exiting, requires a crazy amount of fuel to land safely and to leave a gravitational pull. So, because of the technology and whatnot, all spaceships have that Star Trek teleporting thing, and regardless of the universe always expanding and things, the teleportation thing acts like those portals on video games. They'll stay there and they have one way, like the telepipe on Phantasy Star Universe Online 1 and 2, when you would go back to the place and clean out your inventory and things. And instead of it's just like the game, the Space Colony. When you go down to the planet, you teleport. And when you teleport from the planet to the space colony and go back to your exact mark, that's what kind of teleportation technology they have on a spaceship. And the worst Scorros and Dylizzle can't teleport whatsoever, so they have to use their spaceships like that. But like it said, her spaceship is a favorite of the trio to be used when it's rescuing people because of the facilities it has and the way it looks versus the worst in Scorros. Her possessions, the Ultra Lizard weapon, which is a plasma whip. When these three knuckleheads were 19 years old, they were in Edgemere with the Thunder Rose group. They were tending to some mishaps via being requested to help with a monster infestation. Since the 7 of them, plus the 3 kiddos, were revered as a true powerful hero squad, they also had a truly wide array of powers, benefited them always. After taking care of the mishap with some friends, they were near a city named Awanar, famously known for the arena that's named after them, the Grand Awanar Arena. Many contests were happening the day after they rested. Dylizzle put her brothers and her name in the circulation. Because of that, their minds helped them get into the winner's circle, where they would spin a giant wheel and they would get a prize depending on where they stopped. All 3 of them were awarded God Meteor Dust, that when it's manufactured into a weapon, it's basically unbreakable. The God Meteors are made of dust that is produced when 2 black holes meet. Dylizzle and the worst have formed their weapons of a lifetime. Scorro's dust is sitting peacefully in his spaceship's vault. Dylizzle's plasma whip is unbreakable and has not been tested beyond repair. She isn't trying to lose that invaluable prize, because even though I say that the God Meteor Dust can make unbreakable weapons, there's always some kind of power that can break something, because gods can be killed too. So she has been known to tame a lot of situations because she took what the god said about the dust to heart. The model she designed for a plasma whip allows for the strands to spread out and make a giant round shield. In that form is when she's most vulnerable, because she blocks almost anything that isn't a refined version of a laser from a very vivid super beam. Because the strands aren't whole, they won't hold their place, allowing Misty type and the extra fine powered blast to seep through eventually. Otherwise, she's making sure she whip games properly. And then you have her pet, John Doe, is Dylizzle's Jendo, an all vibrant blue Jendo with azure eyes. His entirety is blue this, blue that. Everyone loves it, but his personality of always being jovially in sync with a tune in his head makes him stand out all over the place. If he would keep his tongue in his mouth, he wouldn't be any less silly. He's a good boy. Roxo's Devi and John Doe are all space dogs and are always with their owners. They man the ships when they aren't there because their language is in sync with the artificial intelligence language of the spaceships. Just like Teodra Morris's Dio, they have that brain chemical that makes them highly intelligent, so they can do things when their people aren't on the spaceships, because the spaceships, if they don't have comms with the spaceship, and it'll be an alert of the dogs or the hawk of Teodra Morris will do sequences troubleshooting to get comms back up and whatnot if it doesn't do it automatically, things like that. A bunch of other technological advances to make dogs smarter comes into play, as they all have saved their owners' lives before. Having to teleport to the unmanned planet to physically rescue them was the definition of a space dog. They don't really have that much responsibility as a whole, but the spaceship will accommodate them if they want something when their owners aren't around. And now we're at Abilities, and you're about to understand why she's so overpowered, even though she has some of the least amount of abilities in the entirety of the 136 character cast. So, Cutting and Open Palm Dragon Prayer are her primary fighting styles. Has extensive knowledge over Shaolin, Kyogaken, Kachukembo, Transcendental, and jumping as well. She contributes her physical prowess to trying to keep up with the fellas. The ladies of the Thunder Rose group taught her that aspiring to be a powerful woman belongs to knowing you're better than men. This makes it easy for her to smack the taste out of anyone's mouth because of track and field on top of gymnastics with a lot of UFC training in the mix. Her best fighting style, cutting, allows her to whip her hair around, as well as her whip in better cutting forms, making her incredibly detrimental when in diamond form because of Diamond's immense power. Her greatest asset is appearing like she studied Shika in the same martial arts instead because of her take on Open Palm Dragon Prayer. All of the cutting actions are turned up notches upon notches because of the mix-ups added on to them. Because of her power choices, 3 of them add on to bonus defense, even when they aren't activated. Her bone density is intensified to the point mere machinery couldn't break them. This makes her a very quick and dangerous tank when it comes to unleashing volleys of damage. Lastly, her healing factor is maxed out due to her choosing and leveling life as a category for imagination. So the superpower thing, specific superpowers will add to a vessel's certain attributes. Like most primary elemental superpower wielders will have more of an energy pool, more defenses against primary elements, secondary and tertiary. None when it comes to non-elemental, but life would add more. Wow, I forgot that word. Don't it suck when you forget a word and you're like 36 years old? But the life force, HP, whatever, it's more. Diamond adds to defense and superpower defense. Fear adds to defense and superpower defense. And glitter adds to defense and superpower defense because it's basically metal. And It's dangerous. So the magical abilities, glitter, toxicity. In most cases, her glitter game is to shift the vision of the battle and be a general annoyance over a long period of time. In those cases, the glitter she uses is biodegradable because it will get into everyone's eyes except for allies. Toxicity comes in order when she enchants glitter to have poisoning effects, such as lowering defense, lowering physical power, lowering magical power, lowering speed, and lowering quality of life, but most important, direct poisoning that only she can cure. Lastly, the glitter color she primarily uses is silver, but can make it any color. While doing this, she can also enact charm powers and make the glitter out of any kind of metal, giving her the full spectrum of powers over charm, the superpower of metal. Projectile mastery. Glitter, clouds, mist, fog, orbs, diamonds, beams, and rays that can be shot out of her body in a 360 capacity, out of the palms of her hands, the soles of her feet, her mouth, and her eyes. Lastly, because of the imagination capacity, she can summon projectiles from any direction to move in any direction, and that's one of the fruits of having imagination as a superpower. Because most super beings, they have to use their hands, their eyes, their mouth, or their feet to shoot out superpowers. And for imagination wielders, they can spend their entire life making fireballs come from the peripheral of their right and attack somebody from the left. And they can make fireballs come out of anywhere. They can make ice balls. They can make lightning strikes come out of anywhere. They can make meteors come out of anywhere, and it's very detrimental. But one of the it's also messed up too, because the earth wielders, rocks, sand, and all that stuff, they can make rock out of thin air and literally make meteor falls just to make sure they win a battle, and they can bury an entire battlefield. It depends on how powerful they are. So she can do that too, because imagination is all encompassing of all elements, if I can talk right. And whatever they choose to use the most is what they will have more power in. So if she want to, she can bury a field in glitter. She can bury a field in diamonds, no matter how big they are. And because of the fear thing, she focuses mostly on skeletons. She can make a whole battlefield covered in skeletons, bones. So, don't go to the battlefield thinking you can go beat her quickly. But life mastery, general resurrecting abilities allow her to resurrect precise knowledge on a surgical scale, meaning she can x-ray someone into figuring out their diagnoses, then heals them. Here's their issue with simple. Wow, I butchered that sentence. Alright, now, because she's a college professor that generally teaches surgery methods pertaining to the ether system, she doesn't have to do too much healing, but because of medical school training, her healing is more precise than a normal person who is a life wielder. Her wound heal, magical damage, and physical damage repair game is hella supreme and feels extremely warm. On a molecular level, dealing with pH balance, when she sees her patients or other heroes, she'll do a pH heal while touching chins, when inspecting mouths and eyes, or giving hugs and high fives. Auto life is something she casts on herself at all times, because anything can happen at any time. Which is also one of the loopholes, because even though you can't resurrect somebody that's lost in a solar storm or a magical storm or a black hole, if a life wielder, a death wielder, afterlife wielder has auto life casted on them, they will come back to life. That's one of the loopholes about being lost in space and things like that. But she's been training it so much she doesn't have to cast it herself. Her ether system doubles up on it, just like it'll be discussed in Killuff's characterization sheet, how she has this ability called Death Ticket, and she just keeps on creating tickets over and over again. So killing Killuff will take a lot, because you have to kill her a lot just to actually kill her. So good luck. And her ether system doubles up on it, oftentimes multiplying it by the 20 of power, because she's been fighting on battlefields with low survival rates a lot in her life. And then you have her flight ability. Dylizzle has 3 different means of flight. Her wings provided by her powers, simply thinking to fly, and the worst flight virus. The winged flight is never done by itself unless she's trapped in Skull Angel form. Most of the times, she uses 2 flight abilities at once, making her a threat on the ground and in the air as a combatant. And then you have Enchantment Mastery, because imagination wielders can think and make anything happen. They can give anything a special enchantment, like they can enchant somebody's entire vessel into invulnerability. They can make a key into a master key. They can make a digital card into a master digital card. They can make their own weapons more powerful. They can enchant other people's weapons with elementals depending on what kind of situations they in. They can do a lot of great things. They can enchant their own voice to be louder. Imagination as a superpower is a fucking cheat sheet. It's ridiculous. And that's why I have it as a superpower in the fantasy world. But transformation abilities, the Skull Angel, rendering the visual make of her dome to appear as a black skull in a white atmosphere, was the beginning of this persona. That goes back into the Doctor TV show she used to watch with her father, and then she started scaring kids with turning her head into a skull as a kid, breaking into her superpowers way before puberty. And the kids that usually do that ends up being level 5 and level omegas of the super being population. There was a show she used to watch with her father before bed about the doctors. There was an episode talking about Money for the Sun, where they went around robbing people, robbing banks, robbing churches. So much drama in that one episode. So much. She dreamed heavy about it and started using skulls as a means of protection for herself, but fear for others. Eventually, she developed the wings to go with the black skull, making the feathers black with a white atmospheric glow to them. Over the years, she has turned from a black skull to a blue skull, provoking her to retire the Skull Angel to develop Dylizzle. Full Diamond mode, Diamondify, allows her to turn her entire flesh and bones to diamond flesh, making her invulnerable in most superpower cases. She doesn't have to breathe while in this form, and often renders herself diamond whenever someone has a grip on her hair. So that is one of her instant reflexes, because in a lot of cases, people with long hair, they will get their shit snatched. And in superpower fights, one of the best things is quickly throwing somebody. And you can throw people on their neck, you can throw them to break their ankles, you can throw them to break their wrist. And there's a lot of situations where you can just straight up go flying. And to protect herself, when somebody touches her hair, she will immediately turn into diamond form, and that'll keep her from breaking her limbs or anything. Cause they'll grab her and just immediately toss her. And even the males with long hair, they have to deal with that shit too. But her counter to that is turning into an instant diamond whenever somebody grips her hair. And the only way to stop her from enacting any of her diamond enchants would deal with creating enough power to match the diamond she created in outer space while in full diamond mode, rendering her impervious to temperature naturally and superbly. But until someone does what she does, it will take great radiation or pollution energies to hinder her full diamond mode instantaneous activation. Dylizzle can only take damage from other crystallization wielders while in full diamond mode. And weaknesses, which is the thing that I did not put on anybody's characterization sheet until last week. After I recorded that whole Teodra Morris thing, I was like, you know what? I don't think I ever talk about my character's weaknesses, and I need to add that. So the whole huge faux pas of never adding weaknesses is a bad thing on my part. But it's all good, because it's better late than never, right? So her weaknesses are Psychics are imagination wielders' worst foes because imagination is a belief for an action. Mind blockage can severely hurdle them from activating anything in their arsenal. Otherwise, a heap of anti-magic and anti-super beam material will weaken her offenses. Subduing Dylizzle is incredibly hard, and only elite villains have gotten the best of her, but it can be done regardless of how invincible she becomes. And like I said earlier, only crystallization wielders can damage a diamond superpower, and because it's in superpower form, it depends on the vessel's fortitude with making superpowers relaying over to the density of the crystal that's made, and they can make Heromite, Amethyst, Quartz, Ruby, Sapphire harder than Diamond. And that's just a perk of being a super being, because you're super and you can do all kinds of amazing shit. So if another crystallization wielder is on the battlefield, then Dylizzle will more than likely go for the crystallization wielder, and vice versa. It's just something that most super beings deal with, like the whole culture of it. Water users will go after fire users. Life users will go after death and afterlife wielders. Ice will go after any kind of dragonoid. Wind users will go after fire users as well. They will go after water users too. And they will go after gravity users. Wind users will go after astronomy users. Blur. Blur as a character, he is one of the bravest characters out of these 136, because he has this wind energy form, and he will literally disappear. That's why they call him Blur, because he always blurring in and out of reality, and it's very hard to stop wind users, but they have the contraptions and shit for that. But this is Dylizzle's characterization sheet, and I hope you enjoyed the character, because she enjoys herself, alright? But until next time, keep it peaceful.